What's good, people? Agent Juice reporting for duty. We're getting close to that cribbage time, which means it's time to cover a Christmas-themed speed painting video. Today's subject is going to be about the new, what I consider, timeless classic, Klaus, created by Sergio Pablos. This speed paint, of course, is of the titular character Klaus, who, as we surmise, is Santa Claus, and he's sitting here in his workshop making himself a toy. So it is time to talk about Klaus, because I honestly believe it is a new timeless Christmas classic. And why do I call it a classic? Well, because I believe it fits the criteria of one. And what exactly is that criteria, you may ask? Well, without further ado, we'll just go ahead and buckle into our favorite boat. Let's take that boat to a lonely island full of feuding families. Well, specifically two feuding families. Let's turn this horrible town around by showing them the spirit of giving and whatnot, and create the origin story of a jolly man. Let us smack the like button because it was there. And let's go ahead and talk about what makes Klaus a timeless Christmas classic. The story of Klaus is rather simple. It's the story of Jesper Johansson, who is a lazy boy who happens to be the son of the postmaster general of the mailmen, right? And so, since he's a lazy boy, his dad says, "Look, son, you're a lazy boy, and it is your job to be a postman. So, I'm going to send you to this faraway, snowy village called Smearensburg, and you're going to set up a post office there, or you're getting cut out of the will. And you're not going to get any of my money." And so Jesper's like, "Oh man, well that sucks." So, Jesper goes to Smearensburg, and he discovers that there's this horrible feud between these Hatfields and McCoys. And of course, in the they're called the Ellingbows and the Crumbs, right? So there's this feuding family that's been going on for generations. He finds this dilapidated post office, and he has to make it work. During his mission of trying to find a way to make Smearensburg be an actual hub where, mail can be sent and whatnot, he stumbles across a recluse up in the mountains, hacking away at wood, this giant mountain of a man, Klaus. And of course, at first, Klaus is very gruff and standoffish, but we discovered that Klaus has a bit of a soft side, where after chasing off Jesper, he discovers that Jesper had a little letter in there from a sad boy, and something deep inside is touched in Klaus's heart, and he decides, "I want to give this sad boy a toy." And a catalyst is planted. These children have sad little lives because their families are constantly feuding. What if Klaus, who used to be a happy toy maker but was, jaded after his wife died, what if he decided, all these toys I built for a child I never had, what if I gave them to other children? And thus, you can see how the origin of Santa Claus was born. That's the story of Klaus. It is the origin story of Santa.
Oh boy, it's Santa!
Ho, ho, ho.
Okay, so there's a jillion Christmas movies out there. A lot of them are good, a lot more of them are kind of hokey and bad, but a few of them I consider timeless classics. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm only going to name a small handful of timeless classics, the one I consider the big greats, and I honestly believe that Klaus belongs amongst them, which is, big claim, but bear with me on this one. The big classics I imagine for Christmas classics are the OG story, which is A Christmas Carol, which was a book first, but it's been adapted multiple times. Miracle on 34th Street, specifically the very first one. And I consider the story of How the Grinch Stole Christmas as a classic. And that one has been done a few times. I'm going to give that one a little bit of leeway and say the original Tex-Avery cartoon one and let's be honest, the Jim Carrey one. I'm going to allow that one in because I need to make a comparison to that one. I consider those three stories to be like absolute timeless classics. And I believe Klaus belongs in that genre. And why is that? They all have one thing in common, and that is the awakening of goodness, specifically buried goodness. And what exactly does that mean? They all essentially have the story of a character who is a Scrooge, right? Who is Scrooge. He's very bah humbug. Ooh, the holidays. Ooh, joy. It makes me angry, or I don't believe in it. You have something as extreme as old Scrooge, who's bah humbug, bah humbug. You have something to a lesser degree in the little girl in Miracle on 34th Street who's like, very prim and proper and like, I don't believe in little kid things. I believe that you have to act like a mature adult. Yeah, obviously you have the Grinch, who's actually probably more extreme than Scrooge, let's be honest here, because Scrooge didn't actively seek to sabotage Christmas. And of course you have Klaus himself. This is, of course, pre-Santa Klaus. This is angry, jaded Klaus whose wife passed away, who never had a child, and he has to live in Smearensburg with all these nut jobs constantly trying to kill each other. It's just a terrible, terrible, terrible place. The second thing they have in common, which is kind of a key element, is that it's seen that they don't all start bitter and jaded. There is a time in their life where they once were full of like wonder and happiness. You have obviously Scrooge when you go into, the Ghost of Christmas Past, showing like he used to be a happy guy. He used to have a girlfriend, There was a lot of life and pep in his step and enjoyment. But like, as the years went on, he became like miserly because of his fear of being poor and being destitute kind of turned him into a miser. You have, to a lesser extent, the girl in Miracle on 34th Street, I believe. Or was it like her dad died or something? But there's like this general consensus that like a Christmas feels very corporate and it just doesn't feel like the spirit of Christmas is there, right? That's kind of a big theme in that one. Now the Grinch, the reason why I wanted the Jim Carrey Grinch to be in your head is that the Jim Carrey Grinch does give the Grinch an origin story of Christmas where, when he was a little kid, he was the odd one out with all the other Whos, and he had a crush on Busty Lou Who when they were kids. Got made fun of, got really angry, and ran away from home, and that's why he hates Christmas. And then Klaus, of course, his tragic tale is that he was once a happy toy maker, had a wife, they were gonna have kids, but they just couldn't have kids. And then one day, his wife passes away, and he's left with all of these creations that he made throughout his life, going nowhere. And he too went nowhere in this horrible town. And of course, all of them have the big twist, which is something happens. There's a catalyst, there's a moment, there's a character they meet where they are given a moment to see goodness in the world once again. Or if you think about the cartoon Tex Avery Grinch, maybe see goodness for the first time, or some great realization dawns upon them that there is, in fact, good in this world. And not only is there good in this world, but it can be perpetuated if you continue to do good deeds. And so with Klaus, it's like, okay, he discovered that he can help the young children of Smearensburg by giving them toys and giving them something good in their life instead of an eternal feud. And because they started being more nice, it's because they started receiving more nice things, they started being more happy. They played together. The Ellingbows and the Crumb kids are playing together, interacting with each other when they were told their whole lives that you have to hate the other because they're the wrong family. And all of a sudden, they have an interest in going to school. And Alva, the teacher who ends up being Jesper's love interest, she was a teacher, but she got jaded and she became a fisher. But now she's a teacher again, and happy things go on, and things fix. And of course, there's like a final twist at the end where the matriarch and the patriarch of the two families hate the fact that things are getting nice and they don't want it to be nice, so they do like one last plot to make things bad. But you should just watch Klaus to get the full gist of it. But the point is that Klaus follows this formula of these other classics of telling the story of a character who is jaded and who has darkness in their heart, whether it has always been there or it was put there when they were young and naive and had starry eyes, but then they were darkened and jaded, but then they get to see the light again. That's a very classic tale. That's what I believe makes it a classic, because it has that universal tale of the reawakening of something good. There are other Christmas movies that do that, I don't doubt that, but the reason why they don't hit classic levels is because they didn't do it well. And in order to do something well, there's a whole other laundry list of things you got to do. The writing has to be good, it has to look good, it can't be hokey. So, Klaus is really good in that the design is beautiful. Like, the art design is mind-blowing. It is incredible how much detail is in this movie. It took years to make. And I don't doubt it because, man, the final product looks gorgeous. To the point where the speed paint that you're seeing right now, like I am struggling just trying to come even close to it. And when I finished it, I personally don't feel like I came close to it, but it's the best I could do. I don't have the skill level it takes to make something that good. So it looks gorgeous. Like I said, the writing is solid. Nothing about Klaus is hokey, right? Nothing feels kitschy or overly sappy or anything like that. It feels very real. All of the bitter jadedness feels very real. It feels very logical, should I say. Logically, if you came to this horrid town of Smearensburg, if you were born there, you were one of two families. And the only thing you've ever known is that the other family sucks and you got to kick their ass. If you came here like Alva, then you wanted to fix the problem, but you saw an insurmountable problem that you couldn't fix. And so now you're just like, oh, great. I made a big mistake trying to fix this problem. So now I just want to save money and get out of here. Keep your head down, get out. You have Klaus, who, had big dreams and was a builder, but lost everything. And now he's just like, I just don't care anymore. I'm just going to stay in the woods and be a recluse until I die. Then you have Jesper, who is selfish. He's a selfish, spoiled boy who, just wants to be lazy. And now he's up here in this stupid town where everyone hates each other and he has to do this post office thing. He's like, man, I just want to bask in my family's fortune, man. So everyone has a good logical reason of being jaded. And as things happen, everyone has a good logical reason to begin to see the error of their ways and have a desire to see things fixed. So that is the credit to the writing of Klaus. So you take these logical steps and you put them into this timeless Christmas formula of seeing goodness where either goodness faded or goodness never was, and thus creating more goodness with your own actions. And you couple that, like I said, with, good writing, logical steps, great design, obviously the things that you would expect a good story to have, and you get timelessness. You get Klaus. It is timeless. It's absolutely a movie I can see being shown to little kids on Christmas hundreds of years from now. The same way that you probably watched Miracle on 34th Street, even though that was made way back when. The same reason why we tell Christmas Carol over and over and over again, even though it was made literally hundreds of years ago. I really do believe that it is a full-on classic, and I'm glad it was made. I really am. Because timeless classics, especially nowadays, seem very few and far between. Anyway, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there for today. I thank you very much for sticking around watching this goodness. If you like what you've seen, you want to see more, definitely click those sacred buttons and comment down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you want to stalk me elsewhere on the interwebs, of course, I always throw up my links here up on the screen. And of course, I always say pay attention to minds.com because it's a good alternative website. And with all that said, I thank you for spending this time with me. I do hope you have a merry little Christmas and do good stuff and all that. And until next time I sees ya, ho, 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 and deuces.